All right, so now that we have passed from guard to side control, we're going to go over 2 submissions from side control. Probably 2 of my more favorite ones. Even though they're beginner, they're going to be ones that you might use for your entire jiu-jitsu career. Really solid, good technique moves. Okay, so I got Dustin in side control. Okay, and I'm going to stay nice and low. Now from here, we kind of talked about this when we talked about on the bottom what Dustin wants. He wants this framed off on the hip, right? He wants to have this in and framed here. Or he wants the underhook, one of the 2. Underhook. So if he's got the underhook, if he's got me framed, he's in pretty good position. But a lot of people, and you'll learn eventually how to set this up a little better, a lot of people make the mistake of either putting one arm over here or they put their arm over here. And they're different submissions depending on which one we have. But the cue that we're looking for is that he puts his arm on this side, on the far side. Okay, so it's going to be, our heads are going to be next to each other and his arm's on the far side. Whatever side the arm's on, my same side arm is going to go deep and wrap it up. Okay, so I'm not just coming up here, I go down into his armpit and then I wrap it up. In gi, I'm actually going to just grab my gi collar and get a nice grip there. If it's no gi, I'm just going to take the back of my hand and I'm going to bitch slap the back of my head. Okay, but in gi it's nice, I can grab on and get a nice tight collar. That's step number 1. Step number 2, I'm going to take my head and I tilt it in. Okay, I don't look at it. I take it's like Night at the Roxbury, if you're a 90s kid like me. You take your ear and you pinch your ear into his arm. So you Night at the Roxbury your head. And then the last part is I take my elbow and I bite my elbow down into my armpit, or into my belly button, towards my belly button. So now I got this arm locked up. Now the key to this, to make this successful, is his arm is locked up from the beginning. If it gets loose somewhere in between, then I'm going to have some problems. So I need to keep this the whole time, and I'll show you where a lot of people have problems. So once I get to here, I'm actually going to transition to knee on stomach. So just putting my knee up like this is actually, I'm in pretty bad base right now. Dustin can probably bump and roll me over the top because my weight's real high. So what I need to do is I need to pull him up on his side. As I bring my knee up, I'm pulling him up on his side. I'm using this hand to base. Okay, so even though he's on his side, I got this knee up. It's like a little wall. He's not going to be able to bridge into me. This is stopping him. So this hand planted, no, it's right against the back of his head, not way out here, right against the back of his head. Now I can step up and I get my good base. I got a 45-degree angle here, balls of my feet here, and I got my knee on stomach. In a tournament, I can hold this and get my points. Okay, once I got my points, then I'm going to finish this submission. So the hand that was behind the back of his head is now going to come up and push his head down so that I have space to step over. Okay, and notice how I'm balanced here. I don't step over and fall back right away. That's what a lot of people, when they first learn this, do because they don't have quite great balance here yet. They step over and they fall back, and then I run into, then this gets sloppy. This is usually where this starts getting sloppy too, right? Their head starts coming up, their arms drop, and now his arm's really sloppy. That makes the submission to finish is going to be really hard. So right here, make sure you got it nice and tight. So once you're controlled here, I'm going to fall back, and I'm going to fall flat on my butt. Boom. Okay, and I can put this out to base if I need. And the reason that I see a lot of people, and this is with all arm bars, a lot of people rock back to get the arm bars. So they're here, and they rock back, and then when I rock, it gives Dustin the opportunity to get on top. Right? And he can stack me, he can start defending the arm bar. Okay, and that's all arm bars, not just the stomach crunch one. Okay, so when I fall back flat on my butt. Now to finish the submission, I pinch my knees together. This hand comes up and grabs my own tricep. And I slowly start to slide back to his elbow. Now, to finish, let's turn a little bit so you see the finish. To finish, what I'm looking for is I need space here so that I have space to crunch down on his arm. If I'm way back here, if it's someone with really long arms, I'm way back here. When I push down, I'm just pushing into my own chest. So what I need to do is I need to keep this tight, keep this all locked up tight, and scoot away so that now there's space again to finish. The second thing, other than space you need, is right now his arm's not really, his elbow isn't up where I need it. So to finish this, I'm actually going to turn my head towards his head. Not towards his feet, towards his head. Now all I have to do is just a slight little stomach crunch, and he'll tap. So I turn towards his head, make sure I got space, and just do a little stomach crunch, just like the little 80s and 90s ab workouts that you do, right? You guys all watch those movies, right? Okay, so one more time. He makes the mistake of putting it over this arm. My same side arm wraps low and then comes up and grabs my collar. In no-gi, I just bitch slap myself. Grab my collar. Knight at the rocks, bury my head. So I pinch my head in, take my elbow, bite that to my belly button. Once I have this locked up, it stays locked up the whole time. That's probably the biggest thing that people mess up, and then the finish is really hard. I'm going to go to knee on stomach, but as I go to knee on stomach, I need to pull Dustin up on his side so my weight stays low. Push with this hand to pull him up on his side as this comes up. So this acts like a wall, so he can't roll into me. This is right behind the back of his head, so it's nice and tight, and I base out. Okay, I stay here, I get my knee on stomach points, then I can push his head down so I can step over. And again, I got good control here. I'm not stepping over and falling right away. You should be able to sit here for a second. When you practice this, sit here for a second and make sure you got this good control. Go back. When I fall back, I land flat. I don't rock. Land flat. You can put this hand back if you're worried about rocking. Pinch the knees together. This hand comes up, grabs the tricep. Slowly slide back to the elbow. And then I'm going to rotate towards his head so I can do my stomach crunch. Okay? If you're way back here and you're trying to stomach crunch, you're hitting your chest, lock this all tight, make sure your knees stay tight, scoot back a little, and then go to finish it. And you might, when you do this, you might have to go back, stomach crunch. Oh, it's not there. Slide a little further back, go back, stomach crunch. Because you can't see where the elbow is when you first start it. Eventually you'll learn how far to go. And in reality, he's going to be trying to pull his arm out, so it'll probably slide right to the elbow anyway. But to start, you might have to make some adjustments in order to finish the armbar. So that is we call it here at NutriGround the stomach crunch armbar, or just a straight armbar from side control.